All right, so today we on a podcast, CSCA Forward. I'm Joe Scrutchen, fatherhood coordinator with Franklin County Child Support. Pass it to Peter Green.
Yes, sir. Hello, everyone. My name is Peter Green. Also work for Franklin County Child Support. I'm in intake, and my first time doing this, so I'm looking forward to it.
My name is Denise Haygood. I'm with Franklin County Child Support, and I'm with the Outreach Department, and I enjoy talking about fathers.
My name's Stephen Block. I'm a support officer with Franklin County Child Support and part of the Fatherhood ERG, and looking forward to talking to you guys today.
So, in honor of Responsible Fatherhood Month, we wanted to dedicate this one and start the conversation about what is fatherhood. So, I'll pass it to you, Peter, and tell me what you think about what is fatherhood for you.
I mean, for me personally, fatherhood to me is like presence, time. For me personally, I have two boys myself. I go off the fact of being somebody who I wish I had growing up. So I play off that blueprint and try to be the best person I wish I had growing up for my kids. So being there, present, spending time, also listening and seeing what's needed, just being a teacher and also a student because we're forever growing in this role. And if you stop growing in that role, you'll stay stagnant and then the growth stops. So that's just my little spill for it.
Okay. What about you, Steve?
Well, to me, fatherhood is it's quite a few things. First and foremost for me, it's mentorship. Being a mentor for my kids and being someone they can look up to and come out to and reach out to. But for me, it's also a learning experience because before I was a father, I wasn't a father. So when I became a father, I had no idea what I was doing, and just kind of learning as I go. And so it's a learning experience. It's a mentorship. It's guidance. It's a beautiful thing.
Mentorship, that's key. I like how you brought that. That's absolutely a part of it as well.
What about you, Denise? What is fatherhood to you?
Clearly, I'm not a father. However, I do have a father, and I have sons myself. And I think fatherhood is very important for the presence, for legacy. There's no way that anything could replace fatherhood. No one can replace it as far as that's a role that's very important in a child's life. It determines from early on, just being there, being in that role from birth until it's always needed, very important role for individuals to have, even those that may not even have children. Mentorship is right there, on top of that.
So that kind of leads us into that presence over perfection. So presence over perfection, I guess for me, that's being there no matter what. Being there no matter what. We there for birthdays, Christmas, but even the small things, right?
Right.
Not just them highlights that you get, but we want to be there for them small things and making sure that, hey, we're there no matter what. So them football games where they may be running a touchdown, they looking for you in the crowd to see, is my father there? Is somebody there to support me? So we want to make sure that we're there to do that. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Presence over perfection. I like how you worded that, and I like your perspective how you came off that because for me, presence over perfection is not only being there, but like kind of removing your ego out the way or knowing when to enhance it or when not to because as a dad sometimes we come into the moment set on how we're going to handle the situation and then you go into the situation and you need to handle it completely different in order for a resolution and sometimes our egos can get in the way and we still tend to go in with the same resolution that we were going to have to begin with and that can kind of mess up things. So to me, presence over perfection is a part of that growth process that that I spoke on earlier, knowing to get out your own way and listen to your kid because sometimes in that situation you need to listen to the child to come together to get a solution going. So that's what presence over perfection because we're not perfect, we're far from it, and I don't even pretend to be perfect, and I have no problem like being wrong in front of my kids. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that means to me.
What about you?
Presence over perfection for me. I mean, I kind of look at it as how my dad was when I was growing up, and he was always there for literally everything. I mean, when it came to for me, I had youth bowling leagues growing up. Every single youth bowling league I had, every game I bowled, every frame I bowled, every shot I threw, my dad was standing behind me. So he set a great example of being there. Right. And even though he wouldn't come up if I make a bad shot, make a mistake, he wouldn't be the one to run up and be trying to correct me. He would just be there to support me. And that taught me that it's more important at times to just be there to support your child, because that in itself is enough for them to look up in the crowd, see you there, even if they make a mistake, they're like, Dad's sitting right there. It's okay. Let me take a deep breath. Let me fix this, instead of getting up and trying to get involved. So presence to me is so much more important.
Yes, sir.
What does it mean for you, Denise?
Presence over perfection for me is memories. Memories are lasting. You can't change what happened yesterday, but you can change what might happen tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So if your presence is there, the children into adulthood can remember that time when Dad was there, when Dad did this, when Dad said that. Even distance it could make a difference. Just a phone call. Now in today's technology world, we've got you can see each other, but and not being as worried about am I or I can't get there, or I don't have that presence, just being there, something like sharing a Coke or something like that. Going to the movies one time could make a difference, and you might not have seen your child for 5 years, because there is distance with some. My father was distance from me, but I definitely remember those times and those moments. I remember that my dad loves me. Exactly. So that makes a difference.
That is so true. I think the whole technology thing with today, I think even when I was growing up, my father, he was a truck driver, owner operator, so he would be on the road a lot. And me being able to talk to him at all times of the day, I can be up at 2 or 3 in the morning, and if I need to talk to him, I can give him a call. And we was having conversations. He'd be like, "What's on your mind?" Because I already know he up rolling. So I'm like, he like, "What's on your mind?" I'm telling him what's on my mind. That way I can go to sleep peacefully, Yep. So that's what about what does it look like? I guess what does fatherhood look like for a man navigating a child support system?
That's a question with a lot of answers, man. Truthfully, I guess it depends on the situation. Child support can look scary. It could look intimidating. It could look to be weaponized. So I guess it depends on the situation what we deal with. Coming before I was an intake, I was an enforcement officer, so I did see the different nuances of relationships and how things were handled, and how one party can use it against another to gain more money or more power, things of that nature. So I think to answer your question, it could look like a variety of things, and a lot of times, more so than not, it's a scary situation, because sometimes you do have the fathers that really want to be there but don't know how to be there because they're scared to ask questions, or don't want to their order to go up, or things of that nature. They want to go see the child, but there may be something eternal between the mom and the father where that keeps them from seeing the child.
So that co-parenting aspect.
Right. It's different nuances of things, I believe.
What about you, Denise? You've been at child support for how long?
It will be 12 years the end of this month.
So you've seen a lot when it comes to.
I have. I've been in establishment. I've done a little enforcement and being in outreach. It's so many aspects. And I've seen, I think there's fear, even when there's the co-parenting, or actually even cohabitating parenting that's going on, and paternity is not established. As simple as that, and that they don't want to at least get that portion of it done, and then you end up in situations where a custody issue may be going on. I think that fear is there for them. But in another aspect, it also could be an area of accountability, an area of being present. Um,
Can you break that accountability down part, Ms. D, please? I'm sorry.
so that accountability aspect would be that you're paying, you're providing for your child. I think that it helps individuals. I've heard fathers talk about how they couldn't stand child support. And then when they got that reality of what it really is and that I am providing for my child, it's separate, it's on record, it's separate from it being sent through iPhone or what is it, Apple Pay or something, then they always familiar with the court saying, oh, that's a gift or what have you. And they feel like that's been taken away from them. But child support could be a positive in the way that it is showing record that you actually are doing that. And it's not your word against the other parties, but it's also a history that you could show that child if there's something that said you weren't there, like I was there. And being accountable that having a child is a responsibility.
Absolutely.
So.
I agree 100% with everything that's been said so far about it, because seeing it firsthand as a support officer and in enforcement, I talk to both moms, dads on a regular basis. I talk to, those who pay and those who receive on a regular basis. And it's crazy different what you hear from each side, because from those who pay, there's a stigma they have to us at the agency where they think that all we care about is them making a payment. We only want our money. We only want our money. And to me, child support is more than just making payments to support your kid. There's resources available that can better your relationship with your children. It can give you more activities to find in common with your kids. They can help you where if you're struggling, financially, there's different resources that can provide. So I feel like with child support, it's the biggest downfall is the stigma.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think just working with fathers for the last few years, I think for me, I can see that as challenging, it's frustrating, and even for some fathers, they even made it where it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Right? They're embarrassed about being on child support. I think one father said like, hey, I'm working all these hours. I'm working this job from 8 to 5 and the other job from 5 to 10. I don't even have time to even spend with my kids. So he was embarrassed about saying I'm doing this just to pay child support.
Right. Okay.
So that's one of the things that's kind of been highlighted for me. So, but one of the things that I tell them is like, this is the whole reason why my position even exists. That way we can get them, like you talked about, get them supportive services to you. Make sure that we can get you employment or get you better employment, making sure that we can get you better education. We can connect you with Jewish Family Services, which is one of our providers. So we want to make sure that we get them supportive services so that they can be successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So when we talk about presence and perfection, I think where does presence start in the child support system for fathers? Where does presence start in the child support system for fathers? I know that's kind of like a tricky one, but I guess what would you say? I mean, we all been here for a number of years. Where would you think presence start at the child support system?
I would say depending, because not all, it's not just support orders. Some of them start at paternity, establishing paternity. So I would say for those that don't have paternity established is showing up for that establishment and saying, yes, I am dad, and let's put this on record. That's a very important role to begin with. And then with the support aspect is, I think it's making contact, getting to know who's managing your case, your support officer, asking questions. I always emphasize to get to know them and let them get to know you. Things happen in life. There could be moments that you're between jobs. Anything can happen. Life happens to all of us. But if you explain that and you make that contact, they may be able to, if both parties aren't able to communicate, they may be able to give some type of an explanation and say, which can ease both parties, because they're not expecting, they know that, okay, this payment is going to be a little longer than expected.
Right.
But at the same time, we're able to provide the resources possibly and help them with future employment training, things like that, where they may go to a whole new career or something. But it also helps them to feel better about child support and the child support system, that we're not just wanting to take money and that's all. It gives them a different aspect of
So
it.
communication is key.
Yes.
There's different tiers, and I appreciate you breaking that down because I wanted to hear the breakdown, and I think people hear that breakdown, they'll get a kind of understanding because, like you said, if paternity isn't established, that's the starting point, right? Like coming in, being accountable, handling your business, doing what you need to do. After the paternity is established, or if it's already established, like you said, I think the key word to all of this is communication for real. Because if as a caseworker, I see you like trying to communicate, ask questions, put in the work, and on top of that'll help me help you. You know what I mean? Like, what do you need from me? Like, so I think communication on both ends, and not just communicating to talk, but to listen. You know what I mean? Listen to each other. How can we maneuver this? How can we make this thing work? Because at the end of the day, it's about the kids.
If I can say something real quick, Peter, that both ways is a total, complete process, because one-way communication isn't going to happen.
Absolutely.
It's not going to make things happen,
Right.
but a two-way communication. So both ourselves at the agency, the support officers, like every aspect, when they come through the door, to when they go to genetic testing, to when they get their order started, to when it goes to enforcement, like each part, all of us have to play a role in it and take that accountability, responsibility, including with our residents, like do it together, work with them, come together. So that's really good.
I mean, I agree with communication. I have a signature on my email that, for outgoing to residents and for internal at the very bottom, it says communication is a standard of excellence. And it's because without communication, it's a breakdown. That's all it is. It's a breakdown. It's a disconnect. And that's a huge part of it. So I think a big part of presence is definitely communication. We're saying, presence over perfection. And I've been sitting here thinking that it's more like presence is perfection, because you need to be present in order for things to go the right way.
Absolutely.
So I as much as present, how are we looking at it as presence over perfection? Presence really is perfection.
Yes, sir.
And I would kind of just say that when it comes to that paternity part, really getting into establishing paternity, we know that clarity creates connection, right?
Yeah.
So you get that accountability, and then you have that responsibility to take care of your kid, right? So there's
clarity.
creates connection.
Okay.
So that clarity creates connection. Once I know, hey, this is my kid, nobody can say like, hey, that's not your kid.
Right.
I know that's my responsibility. I know I have to be there. I know I have to show up in all different types of ways. So just wanted to kind of put that in.
The unknown can be scary, right? The unknown, not knowing, like, so once you do know, now that's like it kind of gives you a footing, like, all right, I got responsibility. So what's my next steps,
Exactly. So when it comes to being a caseworker or support officer at child support, I guess what would be the most effective way to really work with fathers or non-custodial parents, as we would call them?
That's a really good question, because there's a lot of ways that you're working that. To me, it's your outlook.
Right.
When the first and foremost is your outlook. You can't if you're taking a phone call and it's a payer or a father, whichever you want to call it, and you can't just look at that as, and you have to enforce this case. Let's see what it looks like. You've got to get the big picture. You've got to take your time, do your diligence, and talk to that person, look through the notes, see what's going on in their life. And then instead of trying to think of what can I do to make them think they need to make payments, it's what can I do to help them in being able to make payments. And I really think it's just the outlook. I think it's got a lot to do with the support officer like myself, our personal outlook on each case. I look at each case as an individual file. I may handle multiple cases, but no two cases are the exact same. They're all going to be handled differently. And I can't look at case B the same way I looked at case A, because then I'm not giving case B my full true self. I need to clean slate, and I need to talk to them like I've never talked to them before, and learn everything about them, and do my best to better their situation. And by doing that, you can help build that rapport for yourself. You feel good when you leave for the day, and you can help eliminate the stigma we've been talking about.
Speaking of the stigma, the stigma is not just out in the public, right? It's also within the employees and the workers. You know what I'm saying? Like, because child support, all ever since it's been created, making payments, getting the orders, numbers. All you really don't treat people as people. You treat them as numbers. And now we're trying to change that narrative.
Exactly.
I wanted to piggyback on what you said about your email, right? Like, things like that, it may seem small to us, but those are big things. Like, if he sends his email like that to the resident and they see that tagline, oh, this caseworker is not just trying to get money out of me. I could see there's some type of open communication that I could talk to him. You know what I mean? So little things like, so I don't even want to say little, but things like that helps the stigma, because all it takes is something like that to push, and then maybe minds can be changed. The resources that you send us out every week, as an intake person, I try to make sure that the people coming in applying for child support also know we have resources available, because sometimes you're not going to get your order right away. You're not going to get money right away, and you need something now. So here is something that we can help you to support you now. So they see that we're not just about orders or somebody coming in and, you know what, I had a couple dads, hey, I want to put myself on child support, start making payments. I want to be involved in my child's life, and this is how I can start it. I'm gonna start it. And then on top of that, you know what, here's some resources as well, some mediation. If you and the other party get along, y'all can have a conversation with a mediator, or here is free legal advice. So things like that help change the stigma, and it also help change the perception as a caseworker, because we're actually here assisting.
So I'd like to go off of what you're saying about the changing the stigma and things for the caseworker, support officer, and the fathers or the non-custodial parent
Yes, ma'am.
overall. However, I think that it's an overall thing. Like, it actually could give the other party, the custodial parent, that same aspect, because after it could be those things that not only has it changed with accountability,
Right.
because now you've got your job, you realize that there's going to be money taken out of my pay. But in reality, if you're providing for your child already, it may be a lot less than you're actually providing for that child. But it gives a sense, I hear with some fathers, it gives them a sense of responsibility. I am taking care of my child. And with that, it's also possibly that thing, one of the barriers that may have been between that co-parenting piece. And so when mom sees that that's happening regular, and it's not when I feel like it or something like that, then that could even help, because child support is about the family overall. It's not about mom, it's not about dad, it's about that child. And when the child is being provided for, and that's with the guidelines, you know, that part of explaining those guidelines, those monies is like putting that money together, being available for that child. But now you're not together, but still, it's about that money for that child. It's about the child. It's not about the individual parents. And so hopefully that we could get to the point where we're able to do that, connecting with our residents and get them to where they're able to co-parent better.
I can't wait, because we're actually putting action into the words changing the stigma. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is really what it's about. It's about showing, improving, and putting action behind our words. Child support is not just paper and a check. Child support is supporting your child.
we have other resources. We are more than just collecting money and making sure that, everything's financially going the way that it's supposed to be. We're here to, build the family unit. We're here to improve the child's life. We're here to help dad be more comfortable. We're here to help mom be more comfortable. It's not just a paycheck.
Right. And just to piggyback real quick off the resources, I think that's kind of what I'm like really excited about, because we have resources there to help impact the families in a positive way. We're going to have Mid-Ohio Health. They're going to take care of health. We have impact there, the job opportunities, internship opportunities. Is a lot of things going on out here that you may not see or find out through the news or through the radio or things of that nature, however you get your information.
So let's end on a positive note. Give me a few words positive about child support and what we talked about today. What do you want fathers to take away? I guess I could start it off. Communication is key, right?
Right.
So we want to make sure that you communicate with us. We want to make sure that if you get these notices in the mail, make sure you communicate, make sure you build that relationship, build that rapport with your support officer so that you can be in contact, you can get the supportive services, and that you can notify us if anything is going on.
Communication and consistency. If you are consistent with communicating with your caseworker will be consistent in communicating with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, we're all here for each other. And to get through this stigma, we got to show and prove. So along with that communication, I think the consistency of your patterns and trying to make things right comes along with the communication and make things a little better.
So I would say all of that, and just throwing a little bit of that again, my continuing to speak about that child support is here for the family. We want to help and assist the families with helping with the child and the growth of the child and where their future will be. And it's also helping to build those legacies that fathers want to have, and that those giving those spaces. So it's not about being a negative aspect, but just opening those doors to seeing it a little differently and seeing that, okay, it's not against me, but they're working with me.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I mean, communication is a huge one. Like I said, my email signature, communication is a standard of excellence. It's first something I first put into effect when I first came into the agency. It's been on my email since. But to me, the agency, child support's not out to get dads. We're out to be a resource. Child support is a resource. Don't ever feel like a question's a bad question. Always ask. There's never a bad question, only an unasked one. And I would rather all questions be asked and be able to give an answer.
Right.
So use child support as a resource. Don't look at us as just we want money. We're trying to make sure that you make payments. That's a very small portion of what child support is. Child support is a resource. We're here to help better a child's life, better a dad's life, better a mom's life, better a family unit.